I wanted to switch things up just a little bit for this conversation, right? I mean, you've been hearing about F1 teams. I mean, that's obviously what's top of mind for everybody. But there is a much broader world of sponsorships and activations that's going on in the marketplace. And I couldn't think of a better person or better leader in marketing to join us today in Meghan. So, Meghan, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Meghan Shookman, the VP of Brand Marketing at Olipop. If you're not familiar, we're not just a better for you soda, but we're actually a good for you soda because most sodas don't have any value and substance to them. And that's really what we're doing is reimagining soda for the modern world.
Well, that's as good as it gets, really, in the marketplace. So, the conversation here is, first of all, our audience is generally very interested, Megan, having done this thing for almost 15 years now, to understand the trajectory of your experiences. How did you get here? And why are you so ideal for Olipop as a marketer?
Yeah, I started out in the advertising industry, working on campaigns for incredible iconic brands ranging from General Motors to General Mills, and found really a passion for food and beverage. I just loved the intimate relationship that a consumer has with a brand of pancakes that they grew up eating every Saturday morning. And it's so much more intimate than the relationship, at least I have, with the car that I drive on the daily basis. But I really wanted to have more ownership over the longer term vision and journey for our brand. So I switched over brand side just about 10 years ago. Worked at incredible global iconic multinationals like Nestle and Tyson. And after a number of years of gaining some incredible foundational brand experience, I started to wonder there's got to be more than just selling frozen pizzas and frozen chicken. There's just really got to be more to life than that. And so I pivoted over to more mission driven organizations that aligned with my own personal values, things that I wanted my family to eat, things that I was enjoying on a daily basis. Which brought me to Austin, Texas. I was with Vital Farms through an incredible trajectory, tripling growth, going through an IPO, and really proving that higher order premium eggs like pasture raised eggs could be an everyday category disruptor. Tried my hand at a startup for a hot second. That was sub $10 million plant-based brand. Had my Goldilocks moment. I'm like, 10 million, too small for me. Multi-billion, a little too big. And found my sweet spot somewhere in the middle. And I really enjoyed the experience of disrupting categories while at Vital Farms, and that's what led me to Olipop. It was one of the few true disruptors in the category that was doing something more than just slightly elevating, but totally changing the trajectory of an incredible category. So that's what brought me to Olipop, and I'm so excited to see how we continue to scale and take on big soda.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. You can see I've done similar panels on with CMOs of challenger brands, and you will notice that the ones who gravitate to those are the ones who bring tremendous amount of experience across a diversity of initiatives, from the very brand and the high end all the way to performance. These are who I consider as really Renaissance marketers who understand the full spectrum of what marketing is all about. That's what you should get out of Meghan today. So let's see if we can do that. The job is mine to make that to happen. Number one, why do consumers need another soda in the fridge?
They don't really need another soda. They need something that's actually going to add positive nutrition. And that was really the aspiration of our founder. He became fascinated with the gut microbiome and its connectivity, not only to physical wellness, but also mental wellness, and wanted to find a way to really make healthy accessible to more people. And as he was thinking about what categories he could play in, what category has more household penetration than soda? Soda has 97% household penetration, something that's accessible to all. So that was his goal, was to create this Trojan horse, putting good in something that people were already enjoying on a daily basis and really bringing function back into soda. You think about where soda started in the 1890s, it was a functional beverage sold at pharmacies to ail everything from headaches to upset stomach, etc. And somewhere along the way, soda lost its intent. And so we're bringing that intention back to the soda category.
Excellent. Okay, so that's good. Um, that means that given all the disruption and the challenge you've bring to the marketplace, you're really challenging the establishment.
Yeah.
You know, you got all the big ones, as big as they get, the Cokes, the Pepsis, the what
Yeah.
have you, right? What is the end game then? Where and how are you planning to get there?
Yeah, the end game is for Olipop to be ubiquitous with soda, where someone's ordering not a Coke, not a Pepsi, they're ordering an Olipop. And that is the definition of the soda category. How can we make it accessible to all, not only in the US, but also globally? How do we become that iconic, multi-generational brand and to create new memory structures with Olipop as those fond soda memories?
Okay, so that's about as foundational as it gets in terms of bringing newness into marketing, right? And so, what does marketing even mean in this type of context, right? It's like you're not just going to buy a lot of television media and out there and tell the world we have arrived and now you should consume us. That's not going to happen, right? You're going to have to challenge the people, turn heads a little bit because look, parents like us grew up training our children, constantly reminding them that the soda is not for you. We kept it out of the fridge deliberately over the past 20 years. Last 2 weekends ago, I was just telling Meghan, I visited my daughter who works in Manhattan, and we were just sitting talking, and then she brings that little can from the fridge, and she says, "Try this, Daddy." And I'm looking at her and I'm saying, "What? Like we don't drink soda." She says, "No, no, no. This thing has prebiotic in there. You should try it." So this is how the reversal is happening. The whole trend is changing, right? And so who is going to be your advocate and so forth? So there is method to this madness of the conversation I'm having with her. There are three things I want to focus on, just so you are with me, what we are trying to do here. First of all, we need to understand this broader branding and sponsorships and collaborations and whatever that you're trying to do, say something about that. What are you really trying to do with those partnerships? And what is the best way to get the most impact out of it for you?
Yeah, I mean, you think about marketing, the strongest marketing vehicle is word of mouth. So, how do you capture word of mouth and truly scale it? You become infused in culture and the lives of consumers and the things that they already enjoy, and find partners, sponsors who have a mutual benefit so that you can both leverage that combined scale to encourage that word of mouth. So that's really what we've done through our sponsorships and partnerships. We are 10, 20x outspent by our competitors. So we've got to play the game a different way and prove that you truly can scale word of mouth. And so you think about things like our Barbie partnership. How did we get there? Well, we focused on product placement as a low cost way to be infused into culture, just getting our product on TV shows, etc. And we happened to find ourselves in a Nicki Minaj music video. And Mattel took notice and they're like, oh, these guys they get culture. They get that Gen Z consumer. And Mattel, as a mature brand, was looking to become relevant with today's consumer. And so we had a mutual goal and mutual benefits where they were able to really reach a mass audience with their equity. And that was beneficial for us as we tried to reach other generations beyond Gen Z and millennials, whereas they were looking to be relevant to the youngest generation of consumers. And that's really how our Barbie partnership evolved. And we gained incredible talk value, outselling eggs at a key retailer with our Barbie soda. And that left us with incredible PR value as well, that cost us far less than it would have to do a TV ad.
So on that topic, okay, so in general, okay, this afternoon I'm going to come back. You will notice, and that will be focused on F1 teams and all of that. And if you look at the dollar tags on those types of sponsorships, we're talking in the 20, 30, 50 million, maybe even $100 million, right? How much did the Barbie execution and the sponsorship cost you?
Nothing.
Okay, notice this, okay? This is extremely important to hear. When it costs zero, what's the magic behind it, right? How do you do that?
Yeah, it's finding those partners who are seeking some value that you can deliver, and they are offering something that you are looking to tap into. So, how do you find those trade offs? So, we've done that with Barbie, with Minions, Hidden Valley Ranch. We just did an April Fool's joke. And you might think, oh, it's just an April Fool's joke. I think we generated like 2 billion PR impressions just from that April Fool's heist. And you really just go all in and have fun and be a part of culture. And that's what creates that talk value for consumers.
Yeah, so this is worth understanding, right? Okay. It's not just enough to get your message out there and be in every household and get the type of message penetration you can get, which you are obviously able to accomplish here. The next logical thing is availability. The product has to be out there on the shelf so that people find it easily accessible to get to. How many doors do you have access to today?
50,000.
Okay, so that's 50,000 access points, right? Retail outlets we're talking about
Yep.
here, right? Okay. Where do you go next once you get to 50,000? I mean, look, I work with brands that actually, if they can get Walmart access and a Target access, they're able to get about 5 to 7,000, and they are excited about the whole thing. 50,000 is way out there somewhere. How do you get, what's the next level?
Yeah, it's less about more doors, I would say, and more about gaining that household penetration and that awareness and making those doors as highly efficient as possible. I think it's a yes and though. Make those doors that you're in highly efficient. But we really do want to be everywhere where soda is. And that means there is more than just the Walmarts, the Targets of the world. We're just launching into Costco this month, which is going to be a massive unlock because that's such a channel of discovery, and that's going to enable us to really encourage buy rate as well and become more infused in the daily habits of our consumers. We're expanding significantly into the convenience channel so that we can be at a Wawa, at a Circle K just in time for those summer road trips and identify another occasion and way that we can get infused into consumers' lives. We also are working on a number of sports sponsorships like Barclays, et cetera, so that we can be at those stadium games and offer an alternative, especially knowing Gen Z isn't drinking as much. And so we want to offer something that's a lot more flavorful than a water or a sparkling water, and give them something they can be excited about while they're enjoying some of their favorite sports.
So I can understand that. I mean, ever since I did one of the very early deals between Delta and Coke, where generally when you talk about these large partnerships, sponsorships, what have you, they're looking for what is called the pouring rights, so to speak, right? It's like, okay, if I'm going to be investing X amount of dollars, I want to make sure that people are actually going to, through that channel, also drink a lot of Coke, which is 200 million people flying on Delta flights and being able to have Coke accessible through that channel.
Yeah.
So some of those things like stadium sponsorships and things that you're talking about, you actually know that there is a true dollars and cents flow of volume
Yeah.
that is happening through
Yeah.
there. So that's really the way it works, right? What's the role of e-commerce in this whole thing? I understand the physical availability. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, we really grew up as a D2C darling because our brand started in 2019, right when the world was shutting down and everyone was on social media. And so we got the word out there through TikTok and Instagram. And when consumers weren't going out to physical stores, they were ordering from drinkolipop.com. And so that continues to be a strong channel for us, but we're not necessarily trying to force that channel on consumers. We want to give consumers the option to find us however it's most relevant to them. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily a focus, but we're just trying to identify what's the best option for our consumers and how do we remove barriers along that purchase journey to help them find Olipop wherever makes the most sense with them. So I think, as it was more of a revenue channel earlier in our history as a brand, now I'd say it's evolving to become more of a loyalty channel for us, for our most VIP consumers, and to truly treat them like the VIPs they are because they've been with us for so long and they were the advocates that really helped us to blossom as a brand. So it's offering, early drops for our new flavors like our orange cream that we just launched, offering them, high-end swag and surprising and delighting them with, coupons to share with their friends as well, so they can become truly brand advocates for us. So how can we continue to really treat those consumers special and keep them along on the journey with us?
So that's very helpful, um, because the channel's role is not as much as a commerce generation transaction,
Yeah.
channel and so forth. Um, just curious, if you are able to speak to that, what percentage of your transaction volume, sales volume, comes through the e-commerce channel? Now, I imagine
Yeah.
that would include Amazon as well.
Yeah. It's somewhere around 20 to 30%. So it's still a sizable portion of our
It's
business.
significant, yeah.
In part because those people who have discovered us are enthralled with us. So they're our heaviest buyers.
Yeah. To what extent are you able to use whatever insights you generate with these new flavors and other things that you test? Is early reaction, feedback, research, whatever insights you're able to get, factor into the way you reach the merchants, like the large retailers and so forth? Like, hey, we're confident that this flavor is going to go because we know already X million people have bought from us through our e-commerce channel. Why wouldn't you carry it on the shelf?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have about 500,000 subscribers in our network. So that's a
That's
lot
impressive.
of
Yeah.
rich first party data, which a lot of brands are starved for today. And so we definitely tap into that consumer base. We have a thriving Facebook community, and we've recruited from that community to do focus groups to understand like what things should we be getting into from a cultural vantage point. What flavors are you looking for? And that really led to the return of our orange cream flavor that we just relaunched because our fan base had been adamantly asking for it for years. And so we could go to a Target and say, X tens of thousands of requests have come in for orange cream. So we know it will be successful. And that's how we locked in that exclusivity with Target for this orange cream flavor.
That's worth a lot. You know that, right? Exclusivity at a retailer like that is just absolutely precious, right? Makes a huge difference. Okay, so you see where we are going now, right? We started with equity. We went into availability, physically available, so that you can really drive volume across the different channels. And finally, the role of paid media. What is the role of paid media for you?
Yeah, it's more of an amplifier. I mean, you think about media is paid, earned, and owned. And most established brands really put a heavy emphasis on paid media. Well, we've flipped that triangle and proven that you truly can scale through owned and earned, and then kind of put some icing on the cupcake with paid and latch on to what's working. So as we generate tens of thousands of millions impressions via influencer and social, we can then latch on to what's gaining virality and layer on some paid boosting behind that. It's about, as I said earlier, finding ways that we can scale word of mouth as the strongest marketing vehicle because consumers don't want to hear brands talking at them. They want to hear it from people they know and people they respect and trust. And so it's finding other ways that we can generate that word of mouth through things like podcasts. There are very few mediums where consumers are really actually fully engaged and not doing something else while they're watching TV or scrolling on their phone, etc. And that's a way for us to latch into, these creators that consumers already respect and have them be advocates for us. And truly finding these creators too who are actual Olipop fans, because consumers can sniff out authenticity these days. And that rings true with the types of influencers that we partner with as well.
Nice, very nice. Okay. I do have a few more questions of my own, which we can keep going here. But I want to pause just for a second here. Are there any burning questions out there among you that you want to ask her?
Ooh, I mean, we've done all kinds of partnerships. We just did a partnership with Fruit Riot, which is a relatively emerging brand. They are frozen fruits with candy coating. And so we just did a partnership with them. It's these frozen cherries with a candy cola coating. And that really has enabled us to get to another part of the store, the frozen aisle. So how can we find ways to drive cross shop by infusing our brand across the entire store? We're looking at more type of brand partnerships like that, because Olipop is frankly kind of hard to find. So the more we can insert our brand across total store, the more we can keep that and maintain that top of mind awareness. Because we had traditionally been in the refrigerated set, and now we're finally able to sit next to soda with our shelf stable product, which is going to be such a huge unlock for our brand. So finding more snacking pantry brands that we can partner with is going to be incredibly important to us. But that one was kind of risky. Like, what's the why behind it? It's also an emerging brand, but it's a brand that has a ton of talk value and has an incredible TikTok presence. So that panned out. It was a relatively low lift for us. So you've got to weigh your risk and rewards. They were going to formulate with obviously our approval, and we were going to mutually support it, but they were paying all the slotting fees. It's their product with us co-branded on the packaging. So I think that's an example where we took a risk because it was relatively low lift. We just did a homesick candle to go along with our orange cream flavor launch. You might wonder why candles? Why not? Because you think about that orange. The orange cream flavor that we developed is in the likeness of a dreamsicle. And there's nothing more iconic than that taste of it. But how can you bring that into a more full sensory experience? And we thought, why not a candle that evokes that creamy, dreamy flavor profile?
Yeah, I think one of the things you mentioned to me is what emotions does your brand evoke?
Yeah.
Say a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
What is it that you're trying to bring to the surface?
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of our brand is infusing fun and function into consumers' lives and really sparking a little bit of joy, because that's what we're all yearning for. We're in a world that's pretty chaotic, pretty complex, and the beauty of our brand is latching into the simplicity of times when there wasn't so much chaos in consumers' lives. In times of chaos, consumers seek comfort. It's what's more comforting than remembering swinging on a swing, drinking a Coca-Cola, mowing your grandfather's lawn and him rewarding you with a grape soda. Like, that's really what we're tapping into, is bringing back those little moments of joy. And that's exactly what we hear from our consumers too. They're looking for that emotional exhale in their day to day. And that's exactly what Olipop is. When you crack it open, it's just like, a hot second for me to like get my shit together.
Yeah. Perfect. Flo.
Yeah, it's really a way for us to drive awareness and trial, which is so critically important because we have an incredible marketing funnel. 50% of consumers who are aware of us try us, and 75% stay with us. So really, we need to just fill that funnel and get as many cans in hands, and that enables us to remove a barrier, because that is the biggest barrier of like, I don't know, this is kind of a premium price point at $2.99. Is it actually going to taste like a root beer or a cola? I'm not sure if I'm really willing to put my money behind it. So how can we remove that barrier, knowing that once we get them to try it, they're going to be sold? Yeah, they were the ones who came to us, and that's always the beauty, because of that product placement in the Nicki Minaj video. and it's about sharing what value you can offer. And we had an incredible TikTok and social community, as well as an incredible subscriber base, distribution points in another part of the store that Barbie wasn't in today. So it's about finding those selling points where you can fill in that full circle for your partner. Minions reached out to us as well. We are doing some proactive outreach as well. We're doing a partnership with Crocs with our orange cream launch as well. Again, trying to create really a total lifestyle brand and leaning into the extreme fandom, and let our consumers to be walking billboards for us.
Nice, very nice. I'm getting some dirty looks from the back there from the organizers saying, we are sort of using up a lot of time here, so it's time to wrap up. We can't take any more questions, but Meghan is here. So you can obviously ask, speak with her, and so forth. I'm sure you're accessible.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything about myself. As you noticed, I have tremendous admiration and respect for marketers like Meghan, who have really cracked open into this whole challenger brand market. It's a very hard market. Don't let her fool you with her smile and the fluency with which she speaks as to how all of this works out so beautifully and everything is just great. It can't be. It's hard to do. This is a hard job for a marketer to pull this off. And she's dealing with it very gracefully and making it happen. And so we are all very proud of you. Thank you. We derive so much inspiration from the way you actually described it. So thank you for doing that. I come from the world of challenger marketing, challenger brands for the past 35 years. I represent Illumin, which is an omni-channel advertising platform that cuts across the open web and all the social platforms and so forth. And the idea of multiplicity of touch points, both mental, physical, associations and so forth, is really what marketing today is all about. Connecting the dots and making a lot of those touch points measurable. That's essentially what Illumin does. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.